art of the concealed life force, excavating it, as in prospecting, apropos speaking, I suppose. Moving further into this chilly and colder time of the season, after having faced the unplumbed truth about overcoming or accepting the pressing needs one has otherwise avoided or neglected to address up to now, refer to November 19th's post, we begin entering into the freeze or freezing zone. Presently, finding ourselves moving slowly but surely past and through the uncomfortable tension of being between the unseen, shadowy states of things seen and unseen, for the sole purpose of motivating positive movement into ye next life lesson or initiation, which dearly beloved Mother Nature is staging for us to meet right here and now, as Her Majesty always does, cyclically every year. Ironically, or counterintuitively, life doth not spring forth from fire, and certainly never ever when isolated or alone, other than to ignite or light same into being. Rather, it is actually born of ice, as in thawed to life after time of sleep, hibernation, or suspended animation, as every case in life proves to be in perpetuity from beginning to before the eternal beginnings. 'Tis a prerequisite, must, that all living things go through and endure prior to any blossoming and or further development, like the necessary period of rest, dormancy, or limbo all plants to animals have to naturally go through in order to spring alive and grow again, as in the seed whose fruition has come to pass, which must die off at last as chaff, for there to be room and nutrition to feed the needs of perpetuating more. Indeed, exponentially so, and yet in balanced harmony and accord. And such is the organic edict set forth in periodic or cyclic synchronicity by the most supreme teacher of all that we've ever known, know, and ever shall, thanks to she. Although this only be the last of the first 3 lunar bi-weeks visiting the shadowy extremes and estates between the physical plane and spiritual realm, it is in line with the natural sequence of the second set of 3 unique cycles from year to year, each comprised of 8 pertinently different half-month lunar periods therein. And so winter's cold and dark season has only just begun, with the overarching lesson to be gleaned and learned from this one being from November 28th to December 13th, seeing what potential can come from facing one's needs and meeting them head on. So, to boldly and broadly speak, this part of Gaia's curriculum vitae is perfectly in sync with the natural and sacred progression of turning seeds into fruit bearing shrubs and trees. So, to alchemically speak, see also finding tribe and feeding consciousness, uh, previous posts respectfully, as they too pertain to the same said sacred seed and its organic progression, which is and shall be revisited throughout the changing seasons, of course. And the Vikings explained it most aptly and succinctly in the metaphorical form of their mythological origin story, as told in the Gulfagning and Skolskapsmol, archaically translated as the beginning, and poetic mead, respectfully speaking as well, from 2 books of the Prose Edda, which of course speak of the cosmic cow Adhumla and the first giant Ymir, whose parts and progeny went on to become the gods, spirits, plants, animals, land, sea, and human beings, etc., in the same said progression, albeit not in a fiery way, but rather a multiplicative compounding of sorts and ever expanding steady growth in and or of everything, like cells which divide and divide again and again, and their formation or creation itself was and is born of ice. Certainly not a big fucking bang. Never has nor can life spring forth thusly, explosively. Get real. It's but more analogous to meiosis and mitosis, of one turning into two and subsequently four, and so on exponentially many more, giving the most simplified explanation and accounting for the accelerated expansion of our known universe, or redshift, as if it be a living organism in and of itself, as we are but the micro mini replicas or holographic projections and or reflections of the same macrocosm. See, as within and above, so it is without and below. Then again, one must also invoke the Hawthorne effect into the mix, which lends more credence of a direct bearing behind the ever-expanding scene and scenery, as in the further our technological advances reach out to peer into the nethermost reaches of space, so too does the dream reality of the physical plane expand at the same pace and rate. 'Tis all relative after all. Anyway, jack shit comes from or to life or lives if it's too hot, parched, or dried out. And yet, in same said context, we're not just talking about ice in the form of merely solid water. Oh, heavens to frig no! That's Odin's wife, didn't you know? And until science catches up with our ancestors' ancient wisdom in form of mythological metaphor, timeless and universal as it is for any sentient being, suffice to say, at the very heart of every material thing lies the sacred seed, or ice, as the analogy may be, the crystallization of life itself distilled into the consciousness of all things, which indeed go and goes on to grow its own life force, or forces, or energy, that being equal to mass times the speed of light squared. But of course, it's elementary. Growth and development simply does not happen overnight, or all at once, nor miraculously, in any way, shape, fashion, or form. Rather, the creative process of life occurs gradually, as in it has to crawl before it can run, and for damn good reason. For no good ever comes from rushing anything, except maybe football. Indubitably, it all boils down to, or more at, distills into being a matter of trust in the right action, place and time, or timing, the epitome of prompted voluntary persuasion, tantamount to bringing about whatever, wherever, whenever duty calls. See, there's this age-old proverb y'all should already know and realize, and that is stillness requires, makes, and takes as much energy as maintaining motion itself. Ironically, go figure. They're one and the same. As sure as shit that nothing can ever be created nor destroyed, for such is the nature of change, or growth and development, with the crux of this lunar bi-week's mantra being, allow things to lose their innocence and unfold as it should, shall, and does, lest there be conflict, especially if one tries to coerce and or force a situation, for this would directly impact and impede the very change that's been incubating to happen at its most vulnerable state in the process, when life forces simply aren't conducive enough to support the manifestation of any significant changes. That is, at least for the tentative time being, thankfully. Even if one does not know what's going on or has no inkling nor understanding of it whatsoever, and even if one has some kind of crystal clear answer, insight, or solution to it all, now is definitely not the time to do anything rash or rushed, as in walk, don't run, and wait for the green light. Be patient. It's coming and it'll come. For that which is most highly emphasized presently by the Vikings of yore, no less, according to the calendarized staves of the Elder Firthark, is pay close attention to and give any due process ample room to evolve of its own accord in likewise timely fashion and manner. The operative phrase or phase for time being don't push homeostasis. Iksa.